Silver Arrow is a fantastic fantasy adventure book for elementary school students. Let's talk about some of the things you can discuss as you read it with your kids. Hi, I'm Mary Wilson. I teach book clubs for kids online through Outschool, and our April title in my 8 to 10-year-old book club was The Silver Arrow. Now, I chose this book for a variety of reasons, but one is because in April, we decided to focus on theme as our literary element, and I thought, especially for 8 to 10-year-olds, that there were some really clear themes in this book that they would be able to recognize and discuss. And I wanted it to be really obvious for this age range. But let me give you some ideas of what we discussed in addition to theme when we read The Silver Arrow. This book had such a fun opening. Not only was the line a good one, but so was the title of the first chapter. So the first sentence in this book says, Kate knew only two things about her Uncle Herbert. He was very rich and totally irresponsible. So I read that again to the students and asked them, what makes that such a fun way to start a book? What makes it surprising to you or silly? And we talked about how adults are normally responsible. So why is she describing her uncle as totally irresponsible? That's surprising. That's not typically true of the adults in our lives. The kids also thought it was interesting right away that she only knew two things about her uncle, that most people would know more than one or two things about their uncle, and that this idea that totally rich and totally irresponsible went together. So we kind of talked about that a little bit. And then it was actually one of my students who pointed out the chapter title was Uncle Herbert is a Bad Person. And how interesting that is to kind of add to the surprising hook at the beginning of this book. All right, another thing we talked about, speaking of surprise us, is we talked about how well this book uses the element of surprise to keep the reader interested. So I just opened it up to the students and said, tell me about the element of surprise in this book. Where were some moments, name some of the moments where you were surprised as you were reading? They talked about things like the animals. In kids' books, we're used to animals being able to talk, but the fact that we had a mamba snake and a porcupine and a pangolin, these were surprising animals, not like a talking cat or mouse or dog, which we have seen frequently. So that was really fun and surprising. The magic of the train cars, that they got to order the train cars that they wanted and they appeared, like a candy car and a library car. In fact, side note, kind of a fun question that I asked just to have I like to always have a question that anyone can feel comfortable asking. I asked them, if you were given the option to choose cars for the train, what are two cars you would choose? And that led to some fun responses. Okay, what other surprises did they see? When the train used rocket engines, when the train sank into the water and then the mud, when the train found the Twilight Star, and the fact that the Twilight Star, and I don't want to say a whole lot, but it wasn't a star. The fact that the train became a character in the book, and it was surprising the way the train communicated. So that was just a fun discussion that allowed us to talk about lots of different events in this book. And then, of course, the focus of our month was theme. So we talked about the idea of what a theme is in a book, that it's often a lesson for the reader. It teaches us about the world around us, ways that we can live better, teaches us about better ways to conduct ourselves, to live our lives, things like that. So we're looking for big picture elements. Now, in the 8 to 10-year-old age group, this can be a little tricky. So I asked them, what are some things you think Kate and Tom learned about the world by going on this adventure? And they talked very clearly about the very concrete theme of taking care of the world, the animals, the environment. There was a lot of discussion of invasive species in this book, of endangered animals, and a lot of recognition that humans need to come up with solutions. So they definitely had that idea of we need to take care of the animals. We need to look out for endangered species, that kind of idea of a theme. But then sometimes I will give them one and ask, where do we see this? So I said, I think another theme that Kate and Tom learned in this book, another lesson that could be a theme is never give up, even when things are difficult. Where do we see them continuing to pursue solutions and working together even when things get difficult? And then I let them tell me where they see that theme in the book. And it's a great way to kind of start laying that foundation, so that eventually they will start seeing themes on their own as well. All right, there's so many other great things to discuss in this book, including the weird chapter, as the kids called it, when they turn into trees. Talk to your kids about why that one may have been included. All right, a very fun adventure, and there is a series. So if your child enjoys the Silver Arrow, I think the next one is called the Golden Swift. They can continue the fun with Kate and her little brother Tom, helping the animals around the world. All right, thanks for being here. All of the relevant links that you might want with further book reviews, to my Outschool classes, you'll find them down below, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a book discussion in the future.